tears aren't coming. The tears just aren't coming.
Just to be clear, it looks like he's dead or he is dead.
It just looks like he's dead. He's got, like, blue paint on him or something. But he's going to be fine.
What is wrong with you?
Doctor!
So, kind of the first big MCU offering on Disney Plus has been this new WandaVision series, and people are, it's kind of divisive. I'm seeing people love it, some people hate it, you know, but everyone's kind of talking about it. And something that kind of come out lately is that there's a big credit that's missing from the end of the WandaVision series, and that would be John Byrne. It almost feels like, has he been unpersoned from the comic book industry? And if he's not in the Disney Plus, you know, credits, is he unpersoned just from Disney as a corporation? Here to talk with me about this is a good friend of the channel. He's an independent comic writer. He's an independent comic editor. He's an award-winning editor. Joe Corallo, how you doing?
I'm all right, Wes. How are you?
Man, I almost put you up to publisher status. That'd be pretty dope, wouldn't it?
Yeah, no, that'd be great. Let's do it.
You'll get there one day, probably sooner than later. So obviously, John Byrne has an enormous legacy, not only at Marvel but DC. Mm-hmm. At DC, he pretty much revitalized Superman.
Yep.
Kind of the Superman we see in comics is kind of all based off of what he did with his Man of Steel stuff. But really, you know, most of what he did was over at Marvel. Obviously, part of Chris Claremont's amazing run on X-Men, has his own X-Men legacy as far as when he was a writer.
Mm-hmm.
Did he have the greatest Fantastic Four run of all times? Not sure, but it should be up there in the conversation. Had a really great run on Hulk. Certainly helped revitalize the character of She-Hulk, kind of differentiated herself. Certainly has a wonderful legacy on Avengers. And one of the things that he's created along the way is essentially the storyline they're doing in WandaVision. But he's not getting credit for it.
Yeah, that's really weird. You know, we have seen somewhat similar things in the past. I think the last couple of months there was the whole issue with Liam Sharp was tweeting about how he wasn't in the credits for Wonder Woman 1984, and Patty Jenkins, like, you know, tweeted him back being like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. We had your name on the list. I don't know what happened." So, like, it's not the first time that this sort of thing has happened. And as far as I know, no one's particularly upset with Liam Sharp about anything. He doesn't seem to be a divisive creator. Hell, Mark Hamill seems to like the guy. There was that Twitter interaction they had the other week. But yeah, it's perplexing. I think to some extent, you know, if I'm being generous here, it's possible that these people are just looking at a list of, like, characters created and are just throwing those names up there. And because, like, to really know the storylines they're mining from, it's harder to, like, Google that. Like, it's easy for, like, you know, some production assistant or something to just sit down and, like, who created Monica Rambeau? All right, we'll throw their names up there. Who created Vision? All right, throw their names up there. But it's harder to be like, who did a storyline where Vision was abducted by the government is a harder to look up. So if I'm being generous,
you're giving him the benefit of the doubt, and maybe it was just an oversight.
It's possible, yes.
I don't know. It kind of feels like he's been persona non grata at Marvel Comics for so long. Obviously, you know, Chris Claremont's still on the payroll. He gets to do a one shot every now and then. We're seeing Peter David's got miniseries coming up, and you know, we just had Bobby Nicienza. He's come back. He had a little Juggernaut miniseries. He's got some work on X-Men Legends. So it feels like they're giving some of the old guard some opportunities lately. Mm-hmm. And I had heard the rumor that possibly John Byrne himself would be coming back to Marvel, but we haven't seen anything come from that. Yeah. It feels like it's on purpose. I know everyone seems to think he's a jerk, but is that a good enough reason to just unperson him from the industry?
I mean, the things here are like, if you think someone's a jerk and yet want to work with them, that's one thing. You know, he has certainly said and done things that have really upset a lot of people. You know, and I'm not just talking about some of the things he said about like certain kinds of people. He's made some broad stroke, statements. Politically correct would be an understatement on, some of the things he said that have upset people. But, he's also done things like, I mean, we've talked about before, the burning the Jim Shooter effigy after he left Marvel, and there are plenty of people in the industry who are polarized on Jim Shooter, but he certainly still has, fans in the industry. Him and, Quesada had a falling out.
Feels like he's had a falling out with most people.
Yeah.
If we're being honest about John Byrne.
Sure. And rightfully so in a lot of cases. I mean, there are not just from pros, but fans who have also stated they've had, bad experiences with him, just, like being difficult to work with, difficult with, meeting up to get, commissions and this and that. But yeah, Quesada is still at the company. And I believe he made a statement back when Byrne left, like the second time, that, it was either he said or Byrne said, as long as the other guy's there, I'm not doing anything there. That said, there have been other people credited in these movies and things that have also been controversial figures. Like Rich Buckler was credited in Black Panther. He had worked on a bunch of storylines and stuff with Don McGregor, and I want to say he was co-creator of some of the characters. Might have been working on Killmonger, characters like that. I'd have to double check, but he was someone who a lot of people didn't like in the industry. Was often accused of swiping, art from other people. So there have been instances where people who have had mixed sort of reputations in the industry have gotten credited. No one's reputation is probably quite as mixed as John Byrne. so that
it just sucks because his legacy is so enormous. The amount of contributions that he's made to these characters and a lot of the things he's done are long lasting. And I know that people say things that we don't like every once in a while, but just looking at the work and what he's contributed, you would think that you don't have to appreciate the things that he said or even respect the things that he said to understand the contribution. You know what I mean?
No, and I mean, this is the kind of thing that's a very easy fix. As of right now, it's not like people are buying physical copies or going to see a movie. This is something that, maybe not super easy, but it's something that, Disney could go back, do a little edit on a few frames, maybe more than a few frames in the credits, but you do that edit and update it. I mean, if they were able to fix the aspect ratio on The Simpsons, they could throw John Byrne's name at the end of WandaVision.
They were able to fix Cats in like a week, and they no longer look like Dame Judi Dench was floating, right?
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, and the other thing too, it's not like they're throwing tons of money at these people to throw their names on there. It's a nice gesture to do that. A lot of people aren't even, watching the credits to the end. Like a lot of comic fans look for the names of the creators. Like I'll do that. I think a lot of other people that, like watch channels like this probably do that. But, like the average person probably doesn't check all that with the credits. But that's not the point. The point is, I would rather they overcredit people than undercredit people. And the same article that brought up Byrne, not getting credited also mentioned, like, you could probably credit, Dwayne McDuffie and Mark Bright for sort of the way they're handling Monica Rambeau. And if people never read the giant-sized Captain Marvel #1 they did, starring Monica Rambeau from like 1989, it's a treat. It's a wonderful comic to pick up if you never read it.
People need to get on that one.
Yeah, no, it's a good, fun comic. Like it really is.
Yeah. So I don't know. What do you think? Is there something at this point in his career, in his life, that John Byrne could actually do to make amends, or do you think he even gives a crap? Do you think he's done with it?
I can't imagine a scenario where John Byrne cares. He hasn't seemed to care for a long time. I don't think he's ever particularly cared how other people viewed him, and that's for better and worse, like it's that works really well in a lot of situations and it doesn't work well in other situations. But, he's always had this sort of, kind of smug, self-satisfied attitude. There's that clip from, it was like a Cleveland Comic-Con or, I think it was Cleveland in like '93, where he's being very flippant about the death of Superman and is just straight up saying like, he's not dead, basically telling people you're idiots if you think he's dead and stuff like that. Like he's always, even, at a time where he was still a hot commodity in like the early '90s, he was curmudgeon. So
I don't know. He might not care, but I care. I wish that you don't have to get along to give somebody credit and recognize their contribution to the industry. Now, maybe you're right, and it's just a bit of an oversight, and maybe they'll make it right. But it does seem, as time goes on, as we get more and more episodes, and it's more and more content that he created, that it feels on purpose at this point.
Yeah, I mean, there was also a few years ago when Daredevil started on Netflix. A lot of people in the industry started bringing up that Wally Wood wasn't credited, and Wally Wood had a major impact on Daredevil. He was someone that after we did the Daredevil video we did together, I was like, oh no, I didn't mention Wally Wood, because I mean he's the guy who created Daredevil as we know it with the red costume. In terms of one of the most iconic superhero costumes that has barely been altered since Wally Wood designed it, and I know Larry Hama and some other people were posting about that back when that happened, and Netflix made the adjustment to the credits not long after that. So like if industry people and people make it a big enough deal that they want to see John Byrne's name added to the end of the credits, I think it's possible.
It's just, in my opinion, like a lot of these creators, they've contributed so much to these, what are now billion-dollar franchises. We can never compensate them enough, but you can at least put their name out there and show them a little gratitude for what they've done. Since a lot of the work that they created, a lot of the foundation that they created is what you're building off in the future. But obviously, they don't have to do it. Marvel owns the character; they own the properties. If they don't want to credit somebody because there's some grudges or some old beasts between the creators, and maybe John Byrne really is that much of an a-hole, I guess it's up to them. They paid for it.
No, I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, it's a courtesy. It's a courtesy I wish they'd extend to more people and more creators who have been involved in these things. I don't think none of this is a rubber stamp that you agree with every single decision a person ever made in their entire lives and every single thing they've ever said, when you simply acknowledge the fact that they created a character or a storyline. So yeah, I would much rather see more credits than less credits. And, maybe at the end of this or after it's over, they'll, make the adjustment for the future. So, we'll see.
Well, Joe, I appreciate your time today, and I'll talk to you later.
Sounds good.
All right, Joe. So if people are interested in your writing styles, obviously we talk about, comic book writing, characters and stuff here on the channel a lot. You have a new comic book coming out in a couple of months. I believe you can go to your comic shop and order. It's called Becstar from Madcave Comics, correct?
Yeah. Madcave Studios is putting it out. It's May 5th. Is when it'll be available, but it's already on previews. You can pre-order it along with anything else that Madcave's putting out. They're really great. I love working with them because they're so easy to work with, and it's a fun environment. It's a bit of a sci-fi Cowboy Bebop-y kind of comic. Lorenzo, the artist on it, this is his first major comics work. And he does all the coloring as well. And Joe Matt Gill does fantastic letters on it. It's really been fun having it all come together. Sweeney Boo does the covers. And I've known Sweeney Boo and worked with her before. So it was great to have an excuse to, work with her again. It's just like a fun action space romp kind of comic. So if you like something that's, got a lot of action, it's also dense. I like to put a lot into comics. I value the money people are willing to spend on comics. It's a $3.99 comic. I want to put as much in there as possible. I hope I pulled that off, and I don't think there's a lot of dead space in there. Really try to make sure every panel counts. So, if you like comics like that, I hope you check it out.
So you said this is your artist's first real big break in the comic book industry.
Yeah.
Is this something that you two have worked together in the past, like towards, or is this like more of a recent acquaintance that you've made that you just kind of end up working together?
It's recent. I saw his work and the Platform Comics anthology contest, and his story won. And I was like, this is great. And, we reached out to him and found him that way. So, for anyone who does these sort of like anthology contests or like puts their work in an anthology, sometimes people do notice that and they get jobs, on books. So you never know.
So is this a miniseries? Is it going to be an ongoing?
It's definitely going to be, I'm writing the 5th issue now. So, we'll see. I think, no matter what, I think we'll probably, take a break and, see if we do more after that. Cause I have a nice defined arc, but there's room if people, if the demand is there, I'm more than happy to keep going. So,
Well, hopefully the viewers here of the channel who've gotten to know you over the last few months will put the demand out there. Make sure that you go to your local comic shop. The code for the comic will be at the bottom of the screen. Make sure you write that down. You go give it to your local comic shop. They pre-order it for you, and maybe if they get enough interest, they order a couple extra copies for the shelf. We get the numbers up, and we can get some more Beckstar in the future. Yeah,
that'd be great. I'd love that. I think Lorenzo would love that too. So hey, let's go.
Let's make it happen for Joe and the entire team behind Beckstar at Madcave Studios. Thank you so much, Joe. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.